I wanted to look at the relationship between some trends that are occurring in international security and war, and what the effect should be on U.S. foreign policy and grand strategy. It hasn't been the effect yet, but what should it be? So it's kind of a forward-looking book, and it takes an optimistic trend of the decline of a lot of kinds of violence and warfare that nobody outside academia seems to know much about, or in some senses they don't believe it when they hear it. And what should that effect be on foreign policy and grand strategy of the United States? That was the idea. It might be that, a couple of things. One of them is that when people are told that there are trends that since the end of the Cold War that warfare is on the decline, nobody seems to believe it, even though it's one of the few measurable things we have in international politics. All kinds of warfare are going down: ethnic conflicts, civil wars, obviously international wars. They're on the decline, and this is a time when the population is booming around the world, and we have more countries than ever before. But nobody seems to think that the world is getting better. Doom and gloom is much more popular than optimism. So it struck me that people's beliefs are unaffected by facts a lot of times, which sort of leads to the next project I'm working on, where these beliefs come from. But that struck me. And there's not much you can say. I get that a lot. That people say, just wait, we'll figure out a reason to fight. It's like an earthquake. There must be titanic forces building up below the surface, and once it slips, we're going to be in big trouble. But and it's possible. So in a sense, this is sort of a what-if book. And even what I tell people sometimes, you take an idea, and it's like I would like them to stick an idea in people's heads. There may be wars going away, and we should rethink our security posture. And if it just sticks in their teeth like a little piece of popcorn that they can't get out and just can't shake, over time they can, I think, come to believe some of the things, or accept some of the things I'm saying. It's a what-if book for a lot of people. Some people think, if they're familiar with the statistics, and believe that the world's a more peaceful place now, it may be more logical. Other people might not believe any of it. So for them it's kind of a what-if book. But if the logic still works, then it works for me. If it still works, that if war's on the decline, this is what we should do, then that works for me in my mind. We can afford to do a lot less. We can do a lot fewer stupid things. If it's true that war's going away, and a lot of the book talks about why it might be going away, because some people say it's going away because the United States is out there enforcing rules everywhere. I'm not really convinced that's the case. It doesn't seem to me that the Europeans are itching to fight, for instance. Or the South Americans, if we weren't there, somehow Brazil would attack somebody. I don't think the U.S. has much to do with it. And we could afford to do a lot less, spend a lot less, and get involved in fewer stupid things around the world. It's an argument for strategic restraint. There's an old saying, don't just do something, stand there. Because most of the time, crises come up, we can help out and do things where the benefits outweigh the costs. We could have helped out in Rwanda cheaply, for instance. But we don't have to do things to secure our security. Stupid is that phrase? Stupid to secure our security. For our safety, we don't have to do anything. We didn't have to go to war in Iraq. We would have been just as good. We're just as well off after not doing anything as attacking. So the main message is, the world's a peaceful place. Don't do so many stupid things. Yeah, and how long they're not gone forever, and no one says that it's impossible that wars can't come back somewhere. But if you look at Africa, everybody thinks Africa is a chaotic place with all sorts of troubles. I have a friend of mine who's an Africanist, and I said, couldn't we make the argument that there's less warfare in Africa than ever before? And he said, no. We sat down and figured out where wars were happening, civil wars, ethnic conflicts. He said, yeah, it's true. In recorded history, there's less conflict in Africa now than ever. But nobody believes that. But small wars are less common now. They still happen, but they're less common than they have been any time before in human history. It's not the impression people get, but it's statistically true. Whether it continues is the focus of the book. I think it probably will, but we'll see.